Basically, it's low net high cost of facility. Basically, it's like $50,000.
50,000. Okay. Because we've been hearing over 180,000.
No, the
So
total
provided-
cost,
yeah.
including labor, is 55,000.
Including labor.
Including labor,
It's
including the
55,000.
trees, the yard, everything, 55,000.
55,000. So it's not 108,000.
No, it's 55. I
That's
built
what
it from
we put it.
scratch,
Okay.
from start to roof,
Okay.
and everything here was, done by me.
So it's 55,000.
55,000.
Okay.
I like the part people focus on the building,
Okay.
but the president came here. The very first thing, let me just honestly be this clear. The president visited was not to dedicate this facility.
Okay.
The president visited was just to make us stop to see how the project, because we reached out to the president, the government, 90% of this funding is from the government, 90%.
Yeah.
So we reached out to the president, we told him that we identify the conditions within Liberia that the everyday Liberians facing. The 10 communities that we are working in, you can do the math. The total beneficiary from the 10 communities are 215,000 from the 10 communities that we are working in, that we will be building this facility in. The president was just invited here to see the project.
But he did
But because we know that if the president can come, there will be no other reason of having dedication ceremony.
Okay.
So one of we just say, okay, since the president is here, they just put the ribbon on the board for him to just cut it. So it was that, if you see here, there was no chair set
So
up.
it wasn't anything
It was not
premeditated or planned that the president is coming here to dedicate this facility.
No. It was just for the president to stop by, just to see the work that we are doing here. Because as I said, this is a pilot project that will be done in so many different communities. And how can we do this? We need the fund and support from the government.
Okay.
So in order for the government to support us, we show the president understand and identify the concern of the everyday Liberians. So he said that was a good cause to stop by here. So he came here, and on his way here, it was like few minutes when he even got there before we just realized that, okay, we're going to put a ribbon bag here instead of dedication ceremony. That would take, because the actual dedication ceremony for this program, this was scheduled for next Friday.
Next Friday.
Yeah, we have all our letters were scheduled for next Friday. But because the person was coming to stop by before the dedication, I said there was no reason of us having separate dedication. And the person is stopping here to cut this ribbon. He was not just stopping here to cut the ribbon of this facility. He was cutting ribbon of all the facilities that will be built, but also opening doors for the beneficiary. The direct beneficiary of this project for the first phase, 10 communities, is 250,000. So the ribbon he was cutting here is 250,000 Liberians. He was saying, I see this, I understand your cry, I understand your pain. As I say, I'm not a member of any political party.
Okay.
I could have worked with any government that was here, because even the past government, I worked with past government, I would have worked with any government. But we just see there as an opportunity for the government to be able to come in, support the cause for which the president see as a good thing to do,
Okay.
and he stopped by. So it was never a dedication ceremony playing. It was just a stop by for the president to do the work.
The government of Liberia announces further that the first batch of 20 individuals to be transferred to Liberia on the arrangement will arrive in the country on Thursday, August the 20th, 2026. Meanwhile, the government has made the necessary preparations for their reception at the Rabat International Airport and for their stay in Liberia. The government wants to emphasize that those being brought to Liberia are being received as guests of the Republic, in keeping with Liberia's long-standing tradition of being a country that has provided shelter to all those seeking refuge and protection from persecution, wars, and other forms of conflict. The persons to be transferred from the United States of America to Liberia should therefore be accorded full Liberian hospitality whilst in Liberia, and shall remain free to depart the country when they so desire.
Basically, it's low net high cost of facility. Basically, it's like $50,000.
50,000. Okay. Because we've been hearing over 180,000.
No, the total cost, including labor, is 55,000.
Including labor,
including the trees, the yard, everything, 55,000.
55,000. So it's not 108,000.
No, it's 55. I built it from scratch.
Okay.
From start to roof.
Okay.
And everything here was, done by me.
So it's 55,000.
55,000.
Okay.
I like the part people focus on the building.
Okay.
But the president came here. The very first thing, let me just honestly be this clear. The president visited was not to dedicate this facility.
Okay.
The president visited was just to make us stop to see how the project, because we reached out to the president, the government, 90% of this funding is from the government, 90%.
Yeah.
So we reached out to the president, we told him that we identify the conditions within Liberia that the everyday Liberians facing. The 10 communities that we are working in, you can do the math. The total beneficiaries from the 10 communities are 215,000 from the 10 communities that we are working in, that we will be building this facility in. The president was just invited here to see the project.
But he did
because we know that if the president can come, there will be no other reason of having dedication ceremony.
Okay.
So one of we just say, okay, since the president is here, they just put the ribbon on the board for him to just cut it. So it was that, if you see here, there was no chair set up.
So it wasn't anything premeditated or planned that the president is coming here to dedicate this facility?
No. It was just for the president to stop by, just to see the work that we are doing here. Because as I said, this is a pilot project that will be done in so many different communities. And how can we do this? We need the fund and support from the government. Okay. So in order for the government to support us, we show the president understand and identify the concern of the everyday Liberians. So he said that was a good cause to stop by here. So he came here, and on his way here, it was like a few minutes when he even got there before we just realized that, okay, we can put a ribbon bag here instead of dedication ceremony. That would take, because the actual dedication ceremony for this program, this piece was scheduled for next Friday.
Next Friday.
Yeah, we have all our letters were scheduled for next Friday. But because the person was coming to stop by before the dedication, I said there was no reason of us having separate dedication.
I'm medically authorized to travel. The government of Liberia announces further that the first batch of 20 individuals to be transferred to Liberia on the arrangement will arrive in the country on Thursday, August the 20th, 2026. Meanwhile, the government has made the necessary preparations for their reception at the Roberts International Airport and for their stay in Liberia. The government wants to emphasize.
Well, a pleasant good morning, a pleasant welcome. This is the Today Show right here on Spoon 107.5. Is 10 minutes on the flip side of 8 o'clock, and I'd like to welcome you to yet another fascinating edition of the show. Today happens to be the 19th day of the month of August, the 2026, and of course, it's Wednesday, and it's midweek here in Monrovia, Liberia. Good morning, wherever you are watching the show from. wherever you're listening from this morning. If you're listening from Mangabong County, from Vonjama, from Tottenberg, Bumi County, from Robertsport, Grand Cape Mount County, just wherever you're listening from this morning and wherever you're watching from, I'd like to say good morning and welcome. This is your most preferred breakfast program, the Today Show here on Spoon 107.5. Let me recognize a few of those watching the show via Spoon TV this morning. Kokulo Kwakwa, I hope I got the pronunciation right. Is watching from Konya Market Ground. Beatrice Tipla Pupo is also watching the show this morning. Thanks for following the show. Testimony Ebony Doga is following the show this morning, and thanks for following the show. Testimony Beatrice. Beatrice, I've already recognized you. Daniel Y is following the show from Gatnosville. Daniel, good morning and welcome. Solomon Peters is watching the show and says, good morning, Everton. Ben says, good morning. How are you, Everton? You're watching from Minnesota, USA. GDF Nell is watching the show from Clay Street, Monrovia. Evans Kato is following the show and says, good morning. Dave Flomo Lucas Jala is watching live from Wayne Town community this morning. Thanks for following the show. Jay May Prince is following the show this morning from Cotwell, Montserrat County. Nyan Tiawan is following the show. Asata Nasa Kamar is also following the show this morning from Nimba County. I'm sorry, Asata is not following from Nimba, but Lofa is Nyan Tiawan that's following from Nimba County. Thanks for following the show this morning. Ben Kate says, good morning. Ruben Gawor says, good morning. Ruben says, so good. And thanks for following the show. Ruben, this morning from whatever your location is. Let's say Roosevelt Kuya is following the show from Zueju City, Grand Jita County. Lawrence Dopo is following the show this morning from King Jaw, Beer Mountain in Grand Cape Mountain County, Liberia. Who's this? It's Patrick Morris is following the show this morning from Monrovia. Thanks for following. Good morning to all of you following the show. It is beautiful Monday morning. We've got a lot in store for you. Very shortly, we'll be playing host to the representative of district number 9, Montserrat County. Frank Safoko is going to be our guest here in the soonest possible time. I hope he doesn't get stuck in the traffic. But I just communicated with him and he told me that he's on his way here. So any moments from now, we'll be playing host to Frank Safoko right here on this platform. But before that, we will go to Gompa City, Nima County to speak with some of our correspondents there. It was reported, and this is very, very interesting. It was reported in Gompa City, Nima County. There's a tree at the Ganta United Methodist compound in Gompa. It's a cotton tree, I want to believe. This tree hosts a lot of bats. Several, thousands of bats the tree hosts. They are, I think it's a single cotton tree there. Then, according to a report just recently, the police announced the shooting of the bats on the tree. I don't know the actual purpose, and I don't know how that would have been done because the tree is located in the heart of the city. Is located on the Ganta United Methodist compound. So if the police announced or pronounced that it's going to be shooting those bats, I don't know how they're going to do that. especially so when the tree is in the middle of the city, it's in a residential area. Yes, it's close to several residential areas, and it's on the compound of the Ganta United Methodist Hospital. So that is another issue. But what's more interesting about this development is that following the announcement that the bats will be shot, like the announcement was made at the day before yesterday, then the following day, prior to that event, the bats disappeared from that area. Majority of the bats, yes, there was still, a few bats there, but the thousands and thousands of bats that used to be there, I mean, majority of them, Chile, they ran away. Yeah, so 1 minute. Okay, so I'm sorry about that. So the bats Chile, all the bats ran away. According to information, I mean majority of them, and according to report, that's not the first time. Over the years, whenever it's announced that they're going to shoot the bats on the tree, the following day the bats will decrease immensely. So we will speak with our correspondent in Nimba County, who is Victor Cooper, to tell us, because that's a very strange situation. Doesn't mean that the bats have ears. They do have ears. I want to believe because they are animals, but do they have this sense of reasoning? That, or do they understand humans? Especially such announcement being made on public platforms, on radio stations, and other maybe online media platforms. So do those bats go on social media to read, or do they listen to the radio, or do they listen to people's discussion, or eavesdrop people's discussion and all of that they had to run away following an announcement that a massive shooting will occur at that particular area? Well, we will speak with our man, Victor Cooper from Nimba County, about that development this morning. So, folks, we will be speaking with Honorable Foucault via the telephone now, because according to him, he's faced with some mechanical issue, let me say. Yeah, so we will take him on via the telephone this morning. But just before we take him on, let's place a call to Victor Cooper from all the way there in Gompa City, Nimba County, to give us update about this development emanating from Nimba County. Let's see if we can quickly connect with Victor this beautiful Wednesday morning. And there are a lot to talk about here on the show this morning, folks. As you may know, the police is requesting pieces of evidence from the Senator Amara Kunin of Gbapuru County, but we'll come to talk about that because we have on the line Victor Cooper already. Victor, good morning and welcome.
So pleasant good morning, Jekasi. Good morning to our listeners. Good morning to everyone in Mauritius this morning. Even though we are not appearing on the show, but this morning, my pleasure being on the show this morning.
Okay, it's always a pleasure having you on the show. How is Nimba County? How's the weather here in Monrovia, Congo Town specifically? It's very wet. It's rainy. As I speak, I'm hearing drizzles of rain from the zinc. How is it like there in Nimba County?
So we have this friendly weather. This morning we're experiencing the sunlight.
Okay.
So maybe later in the afternoon we start experiencing rain. The sunlight already up. So people begin moving on and more businesses. The weather is friendly this morning in Nima County.
Okay, a friendly weather, that's good for you. But let's go into some of the unfoldings there in Nima County. We understand we got a report that the police there announced shooting of bats on the cotton tree that's located at the Ganta Methodist compound. But the following day, it was observed that majority of the bats were nowhere to be found. And I'm told this is not the first time for such to have happened. You just want to bring us up to speed with this development.
Yeah. So, Yegazi, you are 100% right on that story. It is true and confirmed. But then the police did not make any public announcement. The reason being that, the reason being usually when there is a public announcement, the bat will always disappear.
So whenever a public announcement is made, the following day the bats will disappear.
The following day can disappear. So I remember around 2023. Every announcement was made by the then city mayor Glebokie. He took the public what he very said were intending going there to even shoot some of the bat at a time. So early morning, upon the arrival of the Liberia National Police, including DA on the scene to do the shooting, Nico Simon the bat had disappeared from the tree. Everywhere around the place, about 7 trees after that bat can sit on. Everywhere you could not find one of the bat there in 2023. Same thing happened in 2024. So the normal thing that happened. So what happened? The people in Nimba County, more especially the county, begin to see it being demonic. And those bats are demonic that they can get information, or maybe there is somebody who can confirm them with information that each time you talk about that shooting, they can disappear. Yeah, the information, the time around, they decided to inform the public about it. The city mayor decided.
So this time around, the mayor, the authorities, they decided not to go public with the announcement that they will be shooting the bats.
Exactly. This time around, they did not make any announcement that indeed they're going to take a public shooting of the bat, or they're going to say, I'm pressing over there. Personally, about 2 days ago, upon the arrival of the guys coming together at the city mayor compound to arrive at the scene of the bat, actually, it was surprising to disappear from the tree again. They could not see the bat. Everyone was shocked.
So it even means that the bats have agents within the inner circle of the authority there that can even give them information.
That's how I want to see it for me. That's how I want to see it. As the public has seen it to be demonic, that's how I see it. Because it is not possible that those bats will be in the midst of people, but these are demonic animals that at times sometimes they get information faster than you, and they fly everywhere. At a certain point where they were discussing those things about them, some of them are public remain passing and get the information.
So what are people presuming those bats are? Are they humans? Are they witches and wizards that transform into bats?
Because that's a personal opinion of citizens. But then with the resignation of those bats in Ghana, a place that appears spiritual. If you come to the cemetery in Ghana, there's a cotton tree there. Those bats are based. The more they spend the time at that cemetery, day and night, they sleep there, they do every activity there. They live in the tree there. But then they also live at a hospital. And most of the hospital is one place that consists of a cemetery as well. Back then, there was a cemetery at a hospital. So there are a lot of people who have insinuated, their ancestors living in a bar, spiritual people living in a bar, a lot of things people got to say about that. These are perceptions that people create about things when being spiritual. But however, whatever people see it, on the overall, many people are already agreed and concluded that the bar are demonic. So the fact that they are demonic, because every time an announcement is being made about them, the next day you will not see the bar in the tree. So many people say, but then the place is demonic, and those bars are demonic.
Okay. So, I mean, why do authorities want to, shoot those bats? Are those bats causing any harm for the environment, for the community?
More especially for the hospital, they are causing serious embarrassment, serious harm for the hospital. The place of hospital.
Okay.
So don't deserve any noise. Those bats will always go and sit in a tree. Sometimes on a lower branch of the tree, they sit on it. They will wait on it, and they will break. So those trees are there to protect the hospital in terms of.
Are you saying that the bats are heavy enough to break a branch of?
You can see it's a normal thing for those bats. Around 2024, the entire cotton tree there were very rich when it comes to the branches. Those bats relaxed on a cotton tree. 2024, they broke it down until it came down. The entire tree was straight. It was a reason that few branches are coming around it. So
wow.
if you visit Ghana Hospital now, you will see what we're telling you about. Those bats can relax on the tree branches. The branches can break. It can come down from the tree and fall. It's a normal thing that happens. Take a visit in Ghana one day. I'll walk you there and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's a normal thing that those bats do. And they will always inside the hospital. If they are moving around the hospital, they keep making noise. Their noise alone from the trees, it will disturb the patient at the hospital. So many polls suggested that the tree be cut down. But then if the tree is cut down again, the hospital will be exposed for wind and other hailstorm that will come. So the tree is also there to protect the hospital. So it is difficult. It is embarrassing with the bad situation here because they want to cut the trees down, but then no way. So the situation right now in Nimba County.
So what are they contemplating on next to do? Or they don't want to say anything this time around. They just want to take the bats by surprise.
2024, the after 2024, the administrator Mr. Zuma will say they should leave those bats. Oh, yeah, the opinion is that the father of those bats always get the information from you guys that they will come to shoot them. I violate them because maybe apparently they know that reason of choosing this place to live because there are a lot of places that want to go and live there, but yet they always choose this place to be here. Maybe there is a reason. So you leave there and be here. Anything they want to do, we do it together here. And the bar have been living there from 2024 up to now.
Has there been any objection to the shooting of the bats, or whenever there is objection that the trees that the bats live in be cut down? Has there been any objection from community members or nearby residents?
So the method are the one who owns the trees over there. So they always opposed to the cutting down of a tree because the tree protects the hospital in terms of wind or storm. So they always say they should not cut the trees. And the best thing they can do is to shoot the bat. But each time you talk about shooting the battle, you will see them, they will escape. Then after a few months or a few times, they will come back. So the only thing people can do, the young guys, the riot can get a rubber gun there, shoot them one by one, and they can't make them to escape because there are more than thousands. They live in the trees there. So there are a lot of trees that they live around there.
So they're shooting, they're talking about that rubber gun shooting?
With the declaration?
The shooting of the bats, the rubber gun they're using, or the single barrel?
They use single barrel gun. The public shooting talking about was a single barrel gun. It should be a rubber gun.
But there are people who live nearby there. There are, the hospital has its own facilities there. There's a community right nearby there. How safe is it is, to shoot a single barrel without affecting the facilities and, residents and, community dwellers that are over there?
So that is why they always make a public announcement. So with the public announcement, people will be aware that indeed they set up to shoot the bat. If you are a pressure patient, be aware that there will be a gun shooting this time at Methodist Hospital. So those of whom a pressure patient at the hospital also can be relocated when the time reaches. But this time around, the fact that they never intended to tell anybody, it was in direct communication between the hospital administration and that of the shooters. So surprisingly, when they woke up 2 days ago, that had disappeared from the trees. So they say look up to the next action. But the administrator always say they should leave those bars. Maybe apparently some of our ancestors are the one having access to the bar. Maybe people who run the bar access to the bar, and the bars know that reason for we choose the hospital to live here. So no one should be embarrassing them because they keep doing one thing over and over and then getting any result.
Okay, Victor, thank you. Thank you very much. Any other development just before we take leave of you?
So nothing much, nothing less. The one that you're going to get tomorrow morning. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Victor Cooper is our Nimba County correspondent there, with developments from Nimba County. Yeah, so I'm following your concerns in the comment section. I cannot confirm that as of now. Yeah, I will try to confirm that information as we go on with the show. That is information about former vice president being arrested in connection with the drug saga. So I cannot, as of now, I cannot confirm that information until I can substantiate that. Yeah, I have seen that information circulating. I will try to. Yeah, so I will try to connect with Sam Collins to confirm that information, because he's a spokesperson of the Liberia National Police. So I would try to confirm that information, but it's an information that's going wide. I mean, I'm looking in various chat rooms that I'm into. I'm seeing the information, but I don't want to run with it until it can be substantiated. Okay, so as we go on with the show, I will try to place call to substantiate this information. This report that's coming in about the arrest of the former vice president in election to the recent drug bust in the country. Yeah, so you can count on us. We are going to verify this in the soonest possible time. But this is the Today Show right here on Spoon 107.5. We take a very short break. When we come back, we will place a telephone call to the representative of District Number 9, Montserrado County. He's Representative Frank Safoko. Let's take this break. We'll come back. We'll speak with him.
Medically authorized to travel. The government of Liberia announces further that the first batch of 20 individuals to be transferred to Liberia on the arrangement will arrive in the country on Thursday, August the 20th, 2026. Meanwhile, the government has made the necessary preparations for their reception at the Roberts International Airport and for their stay in Liberia.
Okay, the pleasant welcome back. You are listening to the Today Show right here on Spoon FM 107.5. We are also live on Fabric 101.1, and the show has been simulcast. In fact, we are, live on our various social media platforms: Spoon TV Live, Fabric TV Live, and Valor YouTube channel as Spoon Talk. I'm Yekezi Zobel with the time 25 minutes climbing up to now. Clock will now have on the line Montserrado County District Number 9 Representative Frank Safoko. Honorable Foko, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, my dear brother Yekesen. How are you? And good morning to your listening audience. Yes, I'm fine. I give God the glory for strength and thank God for everything, bro.
Okay, it's good having you online this morning from your end. How is District Number 9?
Yeah, relatively, we give God the glory. The district is okay, and I mean, thank God that things are moving on.
Okay, yeah. So let's start with this our opinion poll that's been conducted on our page. I mean, we are seeking opinions from residents from various districts in Montserrat County about the workings of their lawmakers, and it appears that I mean. Uh, opinions from residents or your constituents favor a lot of the things that you do over there. We right now on on that post we got more than 1,000 comments on that post, and the majority of the comments there, comments that favor you. Your most of the constituents believe that you are working. You are performing your 3 cardinal responsibilities, which have to do with lawmaking, representation, and oversight. Can you speak to that and tell us exactly what are you doing in the district?
So, my dear brother, we thank God again that our people, our district is a different district in a positive way. Our people here understand our function. And our people went out there to just speak clearly their minds, avoid politics, because this morning by 3 to 4 a.m. in the morning, I actually thought to go through their opinion polls and try to see. I mean, there are a lot of people who are not even a supporter of my political party. I also saw their comments in a positive way. I mean, through our advocacy, our 3 cardinal responsibilities in making sure we do those necessary things that are needed. So, I mean, I'm grateful to God that our people are following. I'm grateful to God that our people understand exactly what we are involved with. I mean, and in subsequent time, I mean, things will get better in our country, and we hope that, other residents from other districts who understand, the workings of the legislature. So, but I mean, I'm grateful, man. I mean, that it is what it is. It is not strange to me because I know that I have been doing exactly those things that are needed in keeping with our TD cardinal responsibilities. And I will not turn my back from doing those things because, I mean, I was elected by my people to serve the Liberian people.
Okay, and one of the things that they talked about has to do with, district development initiatives. Can you speak to some of your district development initiatives?
So basically, if you go through those comments, you will realize a lot of people have commented that, I mean, despite the fact that this man his district has not been able to benefit from the district development funds because of his stance and because of his advocacy. And, people have been seeing that he has a critical voice, and because of that, his district has been denied. However, in my own space, I have been able to make myself available to listen to my people. While it is true, it is not possible that I will be available, everywhere at the same time. But we have tried to make ourselves visible, and we have also tried to make ourselves in our little ways to solve some of those, little problems, like where people have challenges with, our mothers from the market, other vocational students and other people. And basically those small engagements within the community, we've been trying our best with what God has blessed us with, our salary, to solve some of those problems. Some of those problems, community people will invite us to solve them. It might take time. It might not be as fast as expected, but because of, lack of funding, but by God's help with what we have as our personal salary, we've been able to do what we can do.
Okay, yeah, but specifically, you want to outline some of those maybe community initiatives, and I'm also concerned about your accusation against the government that your district funds have not been allotted to you because of your stance. As a member of the opposition community, criticizing development
Look, my brother, like I said to you, we will not be carried away by that. As far as we're concerned, the government owe the people of District Number 9. And in subsequent time, the people are going to receive their money no matter how long it takes. So we're not going to allow, we understand the political strategy, and we know exactly those kind of conversations we have had behind the scene concerning these issues. But again, like I said, we will not be carried away by that. And by the special grace of God, our people will receive everything they are entitled to. And I told my people in the district, I said, don't worry about it. This is government. And I mean, no matter how long it takes them, when the time is right, they will make the people money available. So I'm not worried about that. I will continue to stand up what I'm doing. To you is I won't remain quiet. I will continue to say those things that are necessary, most especially it has to do with the well-being of the Liberian people.
But this may also affect you in the future. If there's election and you have an intention to contest, because the district fund is meant for the district. Every district is entitled to that fund and must be given that fund. So if you as a lawmaker, maybe because of your actions, because of your political standing, citizens are not benefiting from their district development funds, don't you see it as something that the citizens will hold against you if you intend contesting, if recontesting 2029?
I can tell you, to show from your opinion pool yesterday, you could see the people themselves. I mean, hundreds of people commented, understanding the fact that, what is happening from government. Everybody knows exactly that these people are holding the funds. So nothing going to affect me. My issue now is my issue now is about doing what I can do for the people. But the people themselves understand and know exactly what the government has been doing, most especially the executive, from denying our people because of my stance. So our district is an intellectual district. The people understand the unfolding. They follow the social media. They follow the media. They follow every conversation, within government. So it is what it is, bro.
Okay. Yes. But also, have you been able to engage with the relevant authority to see how best your district fund can be disbursed?
Yeah, my people, they are aware. I have called the elders of the district. I have called the district development council. I have called other stakeholders, other permanent leaders within the community. So everybody aware, and we've been doing everything humanly, positively possible to engage how our people can receive their money. So, my district development council has been doing what is needed to be done to get your money. And that money, like I said, I don't need the money personally. I don't want the government giving me that money. That's not how it's supposed to be. The government will have to work along with the district development council. And a construction company will go through the bidding processes, and those projects that are enlisted by the community, the government can come and do those projects. So we are not interested in the funding. We are interested in the implementation of those projects.
Okay. And what has been the reply or the response from the authority that you have engaged about allotting your district development fund? What are the obstructions? What are the reasons they gave you as to why they are not
They're not giving me a reason. At times, they are just different issues. They avoid the conversation. But like I said, I'm not having direct conversation with them. I just put them on the server. I inform the speaker. I inform other relevant authorities that should know about this. But like I said to you, no matter how long it takes, our people will benefit from that. We understand the political strategy that our brothers are using to suppress our voices and make us look unpopular. But I mean, I'm grateful to God through your opinion pool and other opinion pools around the district have shown to the world that our people understand exactly what is unfolding.
Okay. All right. On Foco, thank you. Let me just pass over this report very quick, but this is an unconfirmed information. It is yet unconfirmed. Like I said, we will substantiate this information. So we are getting reports that the Vice President, Joel Howard Taylor, has been arrested in connection with the recent cocaine bust in the country. Yeah,
has been arrested.
Yes, it's an unconfirmed information that we've gotten. Yeah, and we are hoping to substantiate that information as we go on with the show. Yeah, but on I mean, what do you, even though it's unconfirmed, but since you are on the line and this report is coming up, I mean, what have you to say about it?
Yeah, this is new to me. I think I need to do further.
Yeah, I mean, it's unconfirmed. Like I said, we are trying to substantiate that information as of yet, but unconfirmed information that we're getting from sources says the former vice president has been arrested in connection to the recent drug bust, and we will confirm that. But let's talk about this drug issue in the country, the recent drug bust in the country. I mean, what do you make of the government's investigation of the drug bust so far?
Chief, the government have not done. The government try to politicize what is said to be. The government try to politicize what has a propensity to damage the image of this country, and we think the government will have to act in a very honorable way to do the needful and be very honest in this process as to how they engage and get away with politicizing the drug issue. I think what is happening to all Liberians now, this is very sad. And the government, imagine discussing over 300 million drug busts in the country. It sends a bad image for the country. And this is what we don't want to happen. Liberia has been okay internationally, locally, and let's continue to be that way. So the government will have to do the needful. Exactly. Everyone following. The good thing about it now, because of social media and our Vera radio station, you guys are journalists. Every Liberian following. So everyone understanding the procedure. Nobody has to explain to somebody what has been unfolding. But I think the government has not been doing what is needed in keeping with making sure that our country is safe.
Okay, when you say the government is trying to politicize the situation, how is the government politicizing the investigation?
But Chief, you've been following the process, and the process has not been as expected. And we think, like I told you, in terms of politics, the police director will have to take off his jacket as a politician and remain as a security-minded person and do exactly what is needed. So we just think that the government should do what is right in the best interest of our people.
Are there arrests being made that shouldn't have been made? Are there other people that are being shielded? Is that what you are alluding to?
Yeah, I think that they've been shielding their own people. According to the police director, there are senior government officials who are involved with the drug issue. And we yet to see them, because for a police director to come out and say that, it means that he's on top of his information, he's on top of understanding what is unfolding. And who are those senior officials? Why are they not calling the need? They're not arrested the senior government officials. So I just think that they just need to do what is needed.
but the investigation is still on the go. I mean, such an investigation sometimes takes time to be concluded. Yes, the police inspector general came up and said top government officials are involved in this, particular illicit drug importation to the country, but investigation is ongoing. We are yet to see whether or not those officials will be brought to book. But if you say the case is being politicized when the investigation has not yet concluded, then one may say you yourself, you are speaking based on political sentiments.
This is why now I'm asking that the case being elevated to the level of our international people, so that they can be able to manage the situation, or else, it will just be regular conversation in Liberia.
Okay. In another issue that I can remember, authorities came up once and said, ghettos, you cannot find ghettos in Monrovia. I think it was the LDA that came up with that statement. In Monrovia, they said you cannot find ghettos. And I lived in district number 9. District number 9 is one of the densely populated districts in Montserrado County. And I observed at the time, which is several years ago now, there are several ghettos around. So with this statement coming up now, and from your own observation as a lawmaker, I know you may not be able to go into every nooks and crannies of the district, but from what you hear and from what you see, do we still have the issue of ghettos persisting in that district?
The issue of ghetto around the country has been a great challenge. When the DEA said that time there is no ghetto, it is everyone's happiness to know that there is no ghetto. Okay, but was he honest about what he was saying? I think no, he was not honest. I think he was trying to I don't know what his interpretation was, but there are still a lot of ghettos around. And I think we need to push harder to do more so that we can eradicate the ghettos.
Still a lot of ghettos around. Are there ghettos in your district?
Chief, the drug issue is not just limited to my district. It's something that is nationwide. So, until we can go and do further checkup, but I think he was overwhelmed with his job. And he was trying to speak in a very ambiguous way. But I think he still need to do more. We need to do more. But to say there is no ghetto now in Liberia or in Monrovia.
No, he said Monrovia specifically.
Yeah, I think that was not fair to the people. I think that was.
But when you say that wasn't fair, then you should be pointing to ghettos, maybe in your district or in other parts of Monrovia. That you know about.
Chief, it is clear. People who are even following your show this morning from different parts of Monrovia, they know that what we're saying is a fact. What that guy said was not true. As I speak to you, people who are listening now in their different communities, they can just walk next door and show you over 4 or 5 ghettos. So, I think he was doing some work. And we need to empower the LDEA financially. Those guys they are lack of everything to do the kind of work that we want them to do. I think these are things that we need to focus on. But to say there is no ghetto in Montserrado, I think that is not true. I think that was just overstated.
Okay, and looking at the drug fact under this government and that of the previous government, which of the two government you think is doing better when it comes to the fight against drugs, and why?
Sorry?
I'm saying if you should do a comparative analysis between this government drug combat and the CDC government drug combat. I mean, which of the two government you think is doing better when it comes to fighting drugs?
So one of the reasons I hate to do a comparison between past governments, and if I start to do comparison now, people will want to look at it differently. Like you saw when the 100 million cocaine came at the Rabat International Airport. You saw the approach of government at that time. It was arrested right at the port entry. Okay, and you saw the international community, our partners in this country, their involvement, and everything was just managed and put under control. And you saw everything went on. As compared to now, the drug entered this country, the drug wore coat suit, the drug was here, was about to be transported. So, do you know how many drugs have left this country? Okay. And let's discuss about even the 300 million drug that was just relaxing. Do you want me to believe that apart from that 300 million drug, there is no other drug here? Those are some of the questions we should be asking. Okay. I think it's not an issue about what happened, because when we're discussing what happened yesterday and today, I mean, there's a huge difference. We're discussing over 300 million that started in the country, that reached home, they woke us to, they started on a roof, air conditioner started blowing it, as compared to a drug that came that was arrested right at the port entry. So when we're doing the comparison analysis, we'll tell you that this government, I mean, it is worse. The issue of drug is still under this government that you see, we're discussing millions of dollars drug that has been in our country, that left the port entry, that came in our country, that was about to exit the country. So I don't want to go to do comparison analysis because it's kind of very troubling and it's not a good one. But all we ask for is the government should be able to do the needful so that our country image can be protected.
Yeah, but one may say under the previous government, yes, the drug situation, especially the 100 million worth of drug, yes, it was confiscated at the port. It didn't maybe reached it didn't spend a longer time on Liberian soil and all of that. But then the investigation, because we're talking here about the fight against drug. At the end of the day, the investigation went nowhere. It was concluded to the dismay of Liberians. I mean, were acquitted. But that situation has not yet been seen with this government, even though we cannot say it's something that we will not see, but we have seen some, significant arrests made, and investigation is ongoing. I mean, some security personnel have even stepped aside, have been relieved of their position because of this.
Chief, once it reaches the court, I mean, that's another branch of government, and they have their work to do. So we just think once people being taken to court, Chief, and whatever the situation is, we have the executive branch, we have the judiciary, and we have the legislature.
Okay.
So whatever the case is, let's watch the process and see how the process goes. But I think the government will have to act serious. The government will have to be honest to this process. And the government have to depoliticize the process.
Okay, depoliticize the process. Okay, let's look at other issues quickly because we have another guest coming up at 9 o'clock, and it's 1 minute up to 9. So we'll take at least about 5 minutes of the next guest time. But let's look at the issue of corruption in the country. I mean, is one of the platform that the Unity Party government used, to have defeated the previous government. That the previous government was corrupt. I mean, you had a lot of kleptocrats in the previous government and all of that, and people who were allegedly carrying out malfeasances in government were, left to go with impunity. How do you look at this government as well when it comes to, corruption fight? Is it succeeding?
The government succeeded on that. Like I said, the government needs to do more. The government needs to focus on governance. The government needs to do those things that they promise the Liberian people. And I mean, there are a lot of disappointments all in the streets. When you listen to, our Liberian people who are just all around different communities, you will know exactly that the government have not been proceeding in keeping with our promises. But we hope that, the country goes well. It is our prayer. People think that we are personally against the government, want the government to fail. That is not our wish. We are standing tall to make sure that everything that's supposed to happen, in the interest of our people happens. So whatever the case is that has to do with corruption and those different issues, we think the government will have to put her acts together and do those things that they promise the Liberian people.
Yeah. On this government, we are seeing a lot of people being suspended, whenever they are accused of corruption. On a previous government, folks were suspended, but not in huge number like we see under this government. So some people, based on that and surmise that this government is fighting corruption more effectively compared to the previous government.
So if many people were not corrupt under the previous government, you just wanted them to go about arresting, you just wanted them to go about dismissing people? No. Depending on the number of people who cause problems, that's what affected the people, and now as compared to now, it is just all around the corner. So we just think not just about suspend them and forward them to court.
There were lots and lots of allegations of corruption in the previous on the CDC regime.
Yeah,
former officials.
We're not talking about political corruption where people will come and say this person is corrupt. There's true insinuation. So once the person go to LCC and go through investigation, it's proven that they were not corrupt. As compared to now, when there are issues of corruption, people resign and people leave the job and go by themselves. We are going through investigation. So like I said, we have to depoliticize governance and focus on how the country can proceed in the best interest of our people.
Okay. Honorable Focal, we don't have the luxury of time. 2029 is approaching gradually. Do we see Honorable Frank Focal willing to accept a petition to recontest in district number 9?
Based on what the people want, that's what we go for. And as much as the people, continue to ask us to serve them, who are we? We are honored to do that. It's a privilege that your people will definitely always want you to be around.
Okay, so that is you are going to accept any petition from your constituents to recontest 2029.
Most definitely.
Okay. Any other thing you want to say just before we take leave of you, Honorable Focal?
I want to say thank you to those who followed this morning, and I pray that God continue to help all of us and help our country, Liberia.
Okay, thank you very much. Hope to have you here another time, maybe in person.
Thank you too for the interview.
Okay, welcome.
Okay, brother.
Okay, so that's Representative Frank Focal there speaking with us via the telephone this morning on the Today Show. This is your most preferred breakfast program. Folks, I am still trying to substantiate this report circulating about the arrest of the former vice president of the Republic of Liberia, Jewel Howard Taylor. And we are getting a report that Madam Taylor and her lawyers are on their way to the Liberian National Police headquarters to respond to questions relating to the ongoing drug investigation. Yes, that is what we are hearing about the arrest. We have not confirmed that, but we are getting reports that the former vice president, Jewel Howard Taylor, and her lawyers are on their way to the Liberia National Police Headquarters to respond to questions relating to the ongoing drug investigation. That's report we are getting from credible sources, but as to whether she's been arrested, well, I cannot confirm that as of yet. Yeah, so that is what we're getting. We will take a very short break. When we come back, we play host to our next batch of guests. This is the Today Show. My name is Yekezi Zwobel. Let's take this quick break to be back with you.
Medically authorized to travel. The government of Liberia announces further that the first batch of 20 individuals to be transferred to Liberia on the arrangement will arrive in the country on Thursday, August the 20th, 2026. Meanwhile, the government has made the necessary preparations for their reception at the Roberts International Airport and for their stay in Liberia. The government wants to emphasize that those being brought to Liberia are being received as guests of the Republic in keeping with Liberia's long-standing tradition of being a country that has provided shelter to all those seeking refuge and protection from persecution, wars, and other forms of conflict. The persons to be transferred from the United States of America to Liberia should therefore be accorded full Liberian hospitality whilst in Liberia, and shall remain free to depart the country when they so desire. However, any person being brought to Liberia who desires to make Liberia their home will be accorded the opportunity to apply for asylum in keeping with Liberian laws. The government of Liberia intends to provide the transferred persons with the necessary support to seek protection in Liberia and to be safe during their stay here. The government notes further that Liberia will receive support to manage the program and strengthen its migration system more broadly. More so, Liberia's gesture is entirely humanitarian and is in keeping with the country's long-standing traditions. Liberia, the first Black African independent nation on the continent, has a long history of accepting people seeking refuge from political and other crises. As a matter of fact, Liberia itself was founded as a refuge for free slaves from the United States of America and other parts of the world. You may recall that the name Liberia comes from the Latin word liber, meaning free. So Liberia means the land of the free. The country has maintained this tradition through the years. During Liberia's years of conflict, many countries around the world, including the United States of America, provided sanctuary and protection for Liberians who fled the conflict. That period and gesture we cannot easily forget as a nation and people. Also, when Liberia stood as the only independent country in Africa during the period of European colonialism, and domination, the country provided a safe haven for African freedom fighters in the struggles to liberate the rest of Africa, including Nelson Mandela, who lived in Congo Town. Stateless African freedom fighters used Liberia as their residence and traveled the world with Liberian passports. Liberia has no history of deporting anyone for living here irregularly or without documentation. In this case, where Liberia has agreed to receive persons transferred from the United States, our decision to accept them is in keeping with existing Liberian tradition. As a country, we have always welcomed people who cannot return to their home of origin. And to reject these third-party nationals will be acting against our best interests. Liberia therefore sees this arrangement as an opportunity to showcase Liberian hospitality and goodwill towards all, and we intend to maintain that tradition. The government therefore calls on all of our citizens and residents to treat those being transferred to Liberia with due courtesy and to accord them our true African hospitality. I know the Deputy Minister had, as usual, listed a couple of other issues that he
basically it's low net high cost of facility. Basically it's like $50,000.
50,000. Okay. Because we've been hearing over 180,000.
No, the total cost, including labor, is 55,000.
Including labor,
including the trees, the yard, everything, 55,000.
55,000. So it's not 108,000.
No, it's 55. I built it from scratch.
Okay.
From start to roof.
Okay.
And everything here was, done by me.
So it's 55,000.
55,000.
Okay.
I like the part people focus on the building.
Okay.
But the president came here. The very first thing, let me just honestly be declare. The president visited was not to dedicate this facility.
Okay.
The president visited was just to make us stop to see how the project, because we reached out to the president, the government, 90% of this funding is from the government, 90%.
Yeah.
So we reached out to the president, we told him that we identify the conditions within Liberia that the everyday Liberians facing. The 10 communities that we are working in, you can do the math. The total beneficiaries from the 10 communities are 215,000 from the 10 communities that we are working in, that we will be building this facility in. The president was just invited here to see the project.
But he did
because we know that if the president can come, there will be no other reason of having dedication ceremony.
Okay.
So one of we just say, okay, since the president is here, they just put the ribbon on the board for him to just cut it. So it was that, if you see here, there was no chair set up.
So it wasn't anything premeditated or planned that the president is coming here to dedicate this facility?
No. It was just for the president to stop by, just to see the work that we are doing here. Because as I said, this is a pilot project that will be done in so many different communities. And how can we do this? We need the fund and support from the government. Okay. So in order for the government to support us, we should the president understand and identify the concern of the everyday Liberians. So he said that.
Pleasant, welcome back. This is today's show right here on Spawn 107.5. The time is 14 minutes on the flip side of 9 o'clock, and we have our next batch of guests. We have in our studio Kifala Kroma. He's a national coordinator of Watch. But our guests are actually from Educate Her this morning. But The other batch of them are still on their way. I believe they're kind of stuck in the traffic, and also it's rainy here in Monrovia. But we have to start the conversation because it's now 15 minutes past 9 o'clock, and at 10 o'clock we'll be kicking dust out of here. Mr. Kurman, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure having you on. You want to better introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Kaipara Kurman, and like you rightly put it, I'm the National Coordinator for Restoring Our Children's Hope, ROCH, and a member of the Educate Hope Coalition.
Okay, a member of the Educate Hope Coalition. Yeah, so firstly, you want to tell us what Educate Hope is about?
Well, the Educate Hope Coalition is a network of civil society organizations working in the education sector, mainly committed to advocating for the full implementation of the national policy on girls' education. So the Educate Hope Coalition was founded under the Educate Hope project, a project supported by Educate Out Loud, the GPE, and then it's implemented by two key women-led institutions. They are helping our children at CU and also Paramount Young Women. They are the two institutions the project, and under that project, the Educate Hope Coalition was established.
Okay, and what are some of the key achievements so far? Some of the gains the coalition has made so far in advancing girls' education?
Well, yeah, there are a lot of gains the coalition have made so far, because if you look at the policy itself, the national policy on girls' education, since it was formulated, a cause for a whole lot that were not being implemented to the fullest. So one of the biggest achievements that we have had so far is that we are being able to advocate that the government prioritize the policy provision that calls for financial support, 5% of the Ministry of Education budget to the girls' education. So by this time, since 2025, Ministry of Education have started to provide some funding squarely for girls' education. We have 100,000 in her budget from 2025 and 2026 continuously. And we're hoping that in 2027 will even grow more than that. So this is one of the key achievements we have had. We have also been able to bring to go a lot of voices from the various communities around the country. We're talking about girls around the country that are affected by this education, let's say the disparity, the patriarchal system that we have in Liberia, and they are being able to voice out what they feel, what is affecting them, and the policy makers and rules have been brought to the policy makers, and there are some decisions around helping them to gravitate from that. So because of that, we have seen recently some achievement when it comes to girls' education. In fact, the gender parity have been already achieved, and even beyond. We have now more girls entry into school than ever before in Liberia. So I mean, we have achieved a lot, and but then we still get more to do.
And one may ask, why does a girl education matter?
Well, yes, it matters. It matters because, like I told you, our society have been a patriarchal society where we prioritize boys over girls when it comes to education,
You said
development,
okay.
and what have you.
Okay.
We have always looked at girls to be childbearer and domestic workers, and you name them. And so, if for instance, if you have a father or a home where there is 3 children, and and 2 of those children are female, and they have a boy, and they don't have enough money to send the 3 children to school, they prioritize sending the boy to school instead of the girl. With the saying that the girl, somebody will definitely marry her and she will leave, and somebody will take her low. That's how normally people say in our common parlance, or low will be taken by somebody else. But then the boys have been prioritized, they have been going to school and completing school and taking on a career. So the girls have been left behind continuously. That culture is what we try to break with this project and the policy itself.
Okay, and you know, from the Educate Hard county level dialogues conducted across all 15 counties, what are the most urgent barriers that are preventing girls from enrolling in, remaining in, and completing schools?
Yeah, I would quickly point to the lack of wash facilities in schools that we call water sanitation hygiene.
Okay.
Most of the schools, the quite recent census that was done by the Ministry of Education, the national census, in that census we did, and we analyzed the census and came up with a scorecard. That scorecard identified that 1,790 schools are without toilet. And you imagine that if the girl child is in one of those schools and she have her 1,790 plus schools without toilet.
Okay.
So those schools are existing within our system, and you have girls attending those schools. They will definitely have to stay home for some period of time, especially when they are seeing their message. When there's a time for seeing their message, they will need more water, they will need clean bathroom, they will need even sanitary pad. They will need emergency sanitary pad and all that kind of stuff. So around that time, you will find out that many girls will have to stay home. And every month you stay home for a period of days, let's say a week or so, you stay home. And then the final analysis, you will find out that the girls is dropping from school. Then the second thing is the teen pregnancy. We have a lot of teen pregnancy situation. Of late, you listening to some issues coming up from different counties, Grand Cape Mount County, or Bomi County, River Cells. There are many girls who have become pregnant at the end of before the end of the school year, and those girls drop out of schools. So those are key factors we observe from all of the dialogue we have conducted. Those are key factors that are responsible for girls dropping out of school.
Okay. And what specific budget investments are needed to address these challenges?
Well, like we said, the girls education, the national policy on girls education call for a 5% budgetary investment into girls education by the Ministry of Education. For instance, Ministry of Education have $50 million for the annual budget. That 50 million, 5% of it can be given to girls education. That can help a long way to solve some of the problems with which we have identified, like the wash facility, school toilet, and there are a whole lot. We talk about financing. girls scholarship, because the policy talks a lot about providing financing for girls' education, that is providing scholarship for girls and even school financial support for some of the girls. You know, the government have recently announced the free and compulsory education that really they're going to start implementing it now, because since 2011, this was part of the education reform law, free and compulsory education for all children in Liberia up to 9th grade. But then it has not been fully implemented since. They have been collecting some fees. So now the minister quite recently announced that. So there is a need for a budget to if Liberia can just go by all the agreement we signed, the Dakar agreement that talks about 20% of the national budget to education. If we can have that, and then the Ministry of Education relinquish the 5%, I think this will help us a lot when it comes to solving the girls' education problem in our country.
Okay, but are you also looking at the private sector, the private schools? Because the private schools host, vast majority of students within the country. That's most especially female, since indeed we are talking about girls' education. You're only talking about the Ministry of Education allotting 5% of the budget to girls' education. But what can the government as well do, to ensure that, private institutions, do same to encourage girls that are attending private institutions to go to school?
Well, our advocacy is purely to that. We want to cover all the schools in Liberia. The Ministry of Education is not only for government schools or public schools. The Ministry of Education is meaning for all of the schools in Liberia. So with the priority on public school, it is because that the public schools are squarely being taken care of by the government of Liberia, and so the priority is on them. Government pay the teachers there, government support the entire school activities, and so for the private schools, the government doesn't pay the teachers in the private schools, and so you will find that the private schools are being somehow left out. But then we are calling on the government that those pronouncements, those support they're having should not only be limited to the government school. I understand that some private school receive some sort of subsidy. I don't know how well that have been over the years. But then we want the government to be able to prioritize all of the schools in our country. Like you rightly said, the private schools are taking majority of our school-going children and school-going pupils that are seeking education. And so if the government only prioritize the public schools, then we'll be taking a huge percent that are being left out of the support from government. So government support should actually cover all of the schools. You might not want to give 100% to private school because they are private institutions, but then there are systems, there are policies set up that govern this private school. Like for instance, the policy on wash facility. You make sure to monitor all of the private schools that are accredited by the government to be able to have their set up before they can operate. They cannot just come up with schools that doesn't have wash facility and you have children into that school. How are they going to go to the bathroom? And so the government should set up those strategies and monitor them and ensure that they are implemented very well. That's what we're talking about.
Okay, so like we said, we're expecting about three persons here to be on the platform, and one of our guests has just arrived. So I want to give her the opportunity to introduce herself. Welcome.
Thank you so much. My name is Rachel Cole, and I work for the Paramount Young Women Initiative. And PYOWI is one of the implementing partners to the Educate Her project. And I'm so happy to be here this morning. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So we were talking about, the government of Liberia, allotting 5%, according to your colleague. That's what you've been advocating for the government to allot 5% of the national budget to girls' education. And the question that I asked was, why does a girl education matter?
So we know that girls' education matter because when a girl is educated, like the people normally usually say, if a girl is educated, you educate the whole world. So if you allocate 5%, in fact, we were in one community and we're talking about the 5%, and somebody came up, the participant came up and said, the 5% is so small. What can 5% do for girls' education? So we want more than 5%. So we are advocating for just 5% of the education budget being allotted to girls' education. But there are other out there, people that we are advocating with for, they are still saying that the 5% is small. So if this 5% is allocated for girls' education, you'll find more girls in school, you'll find scholarship for girls. You'll find that, like my colleague was just talking about, the facility, there will be access to water, there will be access to menstrual hygiene products and a lot of things. There will be schools that those girls, they're not just school, not just a building, because when we're talking about school, we're talking about everything that will be in that school for the girls to have access to. So this 5%, what I say is small. So it's very important that the government allocate that 5%, that we have more girls in school, not just be in school, but stay in school. There are parents that don't have money to send their girls children to school. So if that 5% allocated, you will find more girls going to school.
Okay. And I'm going to ask him this question, but you are female, and I think you are a relevant person to ask this question. From the Educate Her county level dialogues conducted across the various counties, what are the most urgent barriers that are, preventing girls from enrolling in schools and remaining in schools or completing those schools that they enrolled into?
So like what I just talked about, the WASH facility is one.
Okay.
And the far distance to school. So doing the county level dialogue,
which is a general problem.
Yes.
For both male and female.
Very, very, very general problem for it, not just affecting only the female, but even the male. So you find a girl going, take for instance, or maybe 5 to 6 hour walk to go to the school that she's attending. And while she's walking, going to that school, something might happen to her on the road. She might get, maybe, let's just say rape, taking advantage of, something might happen to that girl. So those are some of the issues that really came out the far distance to school. So they were asking that the government should build schools within their communities, within their counties, within their districts, those districts that will be able to have access, not just school. Like you were talking about, not just a building. We don't just want the government to just go and build school and just leave it. But the facility that will make those girls to go to the school and stay in the school, to be retained in the school, is what they were talking about. The fact they say in the WASH facility, you build school, there is no bathroom for the girls to have access to. I'm a lady, and if I go to a school and I start to see my period, my monthly period, what do you expect me to go and teach my part? So there were those were some of the issues that came out during the county level dialogue. There were many, but the key issues that came out during the county level dialogue, the far distance and the menstrual hygiene facility for girls to stay in school.
Okay, and let's also look at the implementation of the national policy on girls' education. what progress has been made in implementing this policy, and where are the major gaps so far?
So the National Policy on Girls Education started since 2021, the implementation. Okay. The project started to implement the National Policy on Girls Education since 2021. So this policy is being implemented in the 15 counties. That's one of the key progress made, because the policy was there, but then nobody knew about the policy. The counties were not aware, the students themselves were not aware that there is a policy to support girls to stay in school, to support girls to have access to education. Okay. But since the implementation of this policy, Unite from community dwellers, Unite from parents, being encouraged to send their children to school, is because of the implementation in the 15 counties. We're not just implementing it, but we are making sure that the conversation is being held across the 15 counties.
So when you talk about the implementation of this policy, how is it being implemented? Are you going from one school to another school, creating this awareness?
So we have, like I said, it's being implemented in the 15 county, and we have local women group that we work with.
Okay.
In the county. So the local women group, they are responsible to hold meeting with stakeholders. Some are responsible to go on various campuses to do implementation around, to carry on awareness around the policy, making sure that everyone have access to education, making sure that the girls themselves be able to join the advocacies around the policy, because if you are in the know of what you are looking, you will be able to advocate for that thing. So the women group across the county, they are the one implementing in the 15 county.
Okay. Let me come back to you, Keifala Kruman. So still talking about progress being made in implementing this policy, and where the major gaps are. What are also resources that are needed to ensure full implementation of this policy?
Like I said right there, the government need to budget, first of all, prioritize the 5% budget to the girls' education, and be able to really work with that money for girls' education. We need support for a very good wash facility at the various schools. We will need a good sanitary system within the school that will provide sanitary pads for all girls. And like I said, there's a need for scholarship for the girls, not just free and compulsory education, but then in that free and compulsory education, there's a company situation with it. The girls will need support for their books, their digital materials that they will use. Nowadays, we are in a digital age. The girls will need to do research. They will need good library system, and those schools should have those things that will encourage the girls to stay in school, because the girls are dropping out of school, even though they are entering at the very high percent, high rate as it used to be, but they are also dropping out at the very high rate. So we need those various support for our schools, that the government have to step up to those. And we believe that the 5% budget could go a long way in helping most of those problems. Even though if you take a microphone now to the Ministry of Education, they are definitely going to tell you that the 5% is actually being implemented in different sectors, because the Girls Education Department have $100,000 United States dollars being given, but then they will definitely tell you that other part the school have the how we call it, the feeding program. These are all part of the girls' education support. But then we are talking about itemizing like the policy puts it, 5%, it should be itemized. They should say this is for wash facility that will support girls' education. Then we are on course. But then don't do just the normal thing and say, okay, it's been implemented. That's not what the policy call for.
Okay. We have been joined by one of our guests. So let's just go over to him to introduce himself. Hello.
So, thank you. My name is Khalifa Lusinentuna, and I'm the Executive Director of the Center for Dignity and Inclusion, which is a member of the Educate Her Coalition. Thank you for having me here.
Okay. Now, we are looking at investing in solutions that improve girls' education. So how can increased investment in areas such as WASH and menstrual hygiene improve girls' education? Let's begin with you since you just come in.
Okay. So I think the issue of WASH in Liberia, is vivid to all of us that have been engaged with the education system. So like we did a recent survey where we were looking at assessing the WASH environment for girls in the Sokene community. So we targeted like 6 schools. So it will surprise you that there are some of these institutions that will tell you we have the WASH facility. They have a washroom. They have maybe the running water. But guess what? Sometimes it's not even cared for. So it's not conducive in a way that the girls can use it. So at a point they close the place down. So I was like, but then this doesn't mean you have it. So if you have it and there's no care and the girls cannot use it, then that means you don't have it. So this is where they're investing in WASH facilities across Liberia for girls, especially for girls retention. It's very important because most of the time these girls go into unsanitized washrooms, and then they use these washrooms, they come down with infection, different form of other diseases. So what happens during this period where this girl is suffering from this kind of infection, they have to take that time off the classroom to be able to cater to that illness before they return to school. This girl maybe she's in her period, she needs some care, but then she goes into a bathroom, in the washroom that does not have the facility that allow her to be able to properly cleanse herself and be able to cater to her menstrual health, to go back into the classroom. So she goes into the classroom, she see that into the washroom, she sees that the washroom is not conducive for her, she has to go home. So, all of these things contribute to absenteeism among girls, and as well so increased investment for girls, WASH facilities in school. It should be a priority for Liberia, especially the Ministry of Education. I think this should be a major priority because this has been one of the key factors leading to the increased dropout rate among absenteeism among girls in school.
Okay, you want to buttress that?
Yeah, so you already said all, but then another thing I wanted to add is the Garland Consider aspect of it.
Okay.
So, say for instance, if the girl she's in her period and she doesn't know who to go to because there is no female teacher in that school to speak with, it's going to make her to stay at home. Like what he's saying, the icing of that girl. So if the girl is supposed to menstruate for 5 days, that 5 days she's going to stay at home because at home she has a parent to talk to. In the school, she doesn't have any female teacher to speak with. So she's going to stay at home. So the policy also called for Garland Counselor to be assigned in these schools so that if these girls start to see that menstrual period, they will be able to have somebody to confide in, somebody to go to, somebody to talk to, apart from the menstruation. But if something is happening, maybe a teacher is taking advantage of them, they will be able to go to that person and talk to the person. But most of the schools, there is no Garland Counselor. So we are advocating that should be Garland Counselor. Also, it's not just a WASH facility, but Garland Counselor should be assigned in these schools. that the girls will be able to go to the guardian counselor to seek help.
Okay. Kayifala, we are talking about investing in solutions that improve girls' education. I mean, how can increased investment in areas such as WASH and menstrual hygiene improve girls' education?
Well, I mean, we just spent around the same topic. You can see if you have a better WASH facility as it related to having the good bathroom with running water and the regular maintenance of that bathroom, you find that girls will be free to go to school and stay in school for the fact that they will have somewhere to go whenever they have a message, they have their menstruation coming. They will go to the bathroom and change their part, and it will be normal, and things will be okay, especially if they have a clean water system, and also they have a part in the school that is sanitary part in the school. But more than that, Rachel spoke about the guiding counselor. You know, it's very important to have a role model. Right now, we are challenged in our country when it comes to female role model in our school. You find that most of the female teachers are in fact, first of all, female teachers are limited. We don't have enough female teachers in the country. And then when the female teachers that are there, they are all mostly into the beginner level. They are in the kindergarten and early elementary grade level. And so we need more teachers, more female teachers in the upper level classes where the girls can role model after. And this will improve their retention and to school. They can continue to say the policy also call for scholarship and financial aid for girls. It's very important. Some of those girls are from a very, very poor family that can't afford. We already got a patriarchal system where the homes, the parents prioritize boys over girls when it comes to school education. But then if we have support, especially financial aid, support, and scholarship for girls, you will find that more girls will access the support. Most of the girls that drop out of school because of teen pregnancy is from some of those backgrounds. They want to use the means to get a boyfriend or some kind of guy to be able to support them, and at the end, they get pregnant and drop out of school. You understand? So we really need those kind of support that the policy call for.
And another concern is the 5% budgetary allocation to girls' education. How adequate do you think this is? Because I'm just sitting and judging from everything that you've said, looking at the number of public schools in this country. The private, schools, exceed the public institutions in this country. So if you are calling for just 5% of the budget to be allocated to girls' education, to be able to purchase all of those wash materials you're talking about, one may say that amount is too small because it has to cut across the private sector as well, not just the public institutions. And like I said earlier on, I mean, the public school, take in a lot of, the females, the girls you're talking about, even more than the private schools. So is this 5% allocation enough?
Okay. Yeah, for me, the 5% allocation is not enough, but then it's a significant amount that can go far in helping our girls once is really appropriated. If you take 5% of 50 million, I mean, you're talking about some good portion of money that will be above million plus. So you can use that to be able to, first of all, take care of all the private school wash system. I mean, the public school wash system. For the private schools, you can now give them subsidy. You can subsidize the private school because for them, they are collecting fees. And the little subsidy that you can provide for them with coupled with their fees they are collecting, and you monitor, provide funding for monitoring of those schools so that the system they are putting in place, the WASH facilities are all good. And one of the main challenge that we have in all of our schools, including the private schools, are they have WASH facility, but then they don't have the maintenance capacity. They don't have a specialized person who they pay to continuously clean those facilities. You will find out that in some schools, especially in the rural area, you will find some school they build a very nice toilet, bathroom, but then after the student use it for a few times, everything mess up and remain like that, and they just put some lock and close it, or they nailed it, and it's no more going to be used. You understand? There are some donors agency who have gone to some of those schools and build good toilet facility. But then if you get to those schools with all of our monitoring, most of those schools toilets are locked, they are nailed, because they don't have the maintenance capacity. So that is one of the main places that the money should be prioritized. Now, if that 5% is used, then we begin to talk about more, but then the first thing, the 5% should be allocated and it should be used.
Okay, so I mean, you were assuming if the Ministry of Education budget is 50 million, 5%, yes, it's over $1 million. 5% would be 2.5 million.
Okay.
Yeah, 2.5 million, and we're talking about the adequacy of that money, to honor all of the cost of WASH materials, and put into place measures that will encourage girls to go to school. Let's hear from you.
Yeah. So if you look at the investment from the World Bank through the Back to My Classroom program with the Ministry of Education, I think this is something where this is one of the areas where we have been advocating that. I mean, there's a need for government to give accountability of donor funds that go to the different ministries. So the Ministry of Education, according to the Ministry of Education, they have now allocated $12 per student across the Republic of Liberia, but that is not within our budget.
Okay.
You understand? So that is donor funded budget, but then they do not account to citizens, in regards to that budget. So most of the time they say this is where we don't count that particular allocation as a part of the 5% that we continue to advocate for, because this is not something that is specific.
So the 5% is directly from the ministry, but there are other donors allocation.
Yeah, outside of donor allocation, because the ministry does not do their budget inclusive of the donor allocation. They do the budget exclusively for government funding. You understand? So now we asking, is it possible that if the ministry is doing budget for government allocation, can you also do a generalized budget that includes the government allocation, including the donor funding that you're receiving, so that we know that that may you contributing towards, but they don't do it in that manner. So for me, I see that the 5%, like Kefala said, is significant. It's a significant amount if it can actually be allocated, but the challenge is the amount is not being allocated, so it's not adequate to be able to address the barriers. So besides WASH, there are issues of support for school materials for girls. Most of the girls drop from school because their parents would prefer buying the book bag, the school uniform, the books, and the other learning materials for the boy rather than the girl. So because of that, if the parent has money to only buy maybe for one person, while the parent have a boy and a girl, they will prefer buying for the boy, and then the girl will have to continue struggling until the parents can get money. At the end of the day, this person is facing bullying. You know, so what happens in the classroom? Their friends will be bullying. You holding books in your hand. You're doing this. So at the end of the day, this girl gets shamed and leave from the classroom. She never returns to school. Another thing is the girl gets pregnant. The school never allow her to continue her education or tell her, okay, we can provide you nice session so that you can be able to continue your education. What they do, they create a system that bullies the girls as well when they are pregnant. They tell you if this girl stays in the school, all of the other girls will be pregnant. That's not an excuse to get a female out of the classroom. You understand? So these are other challenges that we should be. So that 5% will contribute significantly to addressing the barriers. But because the ministry have not been able to allocate that 5%, it become a challenge. And this is a commitment that they made at the international level.
Yeah. So briefly on the 5%, let's hear you.
So we just want the government of Liberia to just allocate that 5%, because like Caliphas is saying and the other Calipha is saying, the both of them, they already said, once that 5% is allocated, it's going to do a lot for girls' education in this country. We just need that 5% to be allocated, because 100,000 is nothing. 100,000 cannot do anything for girls' education. We're talking about 15 counties in Liberia. What can 100,000 do for that 15 counties? They cannot even do nothing for girls' education. So we just calling on the government of Liberia to just allocate just 5%. We know that other people are saying the 5% is small, but we, the Educator Coalition, is just calling on the government of Liberia, just allocate the 5% for girls' education. Let's see, let's start from there. Let's see what can that 5% do. Then we can advocate for another percent to be added. But for now, we are calling on the government, because we are in the budget preparation period. So we are calling on the government of Liberia, as they are doing budget preparation. We are advocating that, letting bear in mind that 5% should be allocated for just girls' education within Liberia.
Okay. All right. So let's look at shared responsibility. What do you think specific actions and commitments parents, communities, schools, civil society organizations, and even the private sectors and citizens can take to increase investment in girls' education? Yeah, let's begin with you.
So I think one major thing that we have to look at as parents will have to make sure that they provide the full emotional support for their children.
Okay.
Because if a child is living from home this morning, the parent did not make sure that this child leave from home happily to go to the classroom. This child's entire learning period is traumatized, because they're not going to pay attention. They're going to be thinking about what happened at home, and when they go back, what they might encounter. So making sure that your child goes to the classroom healthy in the mind is something that parents should be able to look at. The learning materials, those are things that communities should be able to contribute towards. If you see a child in your community who is not going to school because they don't have uniform, because they don't have book bag, because they don't have copybook or pencil, this is a responsibility of a good community. The community should be able to see how you can be able to contribute. If just an individual can even contribute $50 Liberian from a household to contribute towards providing learning material to children in a community, we will know that we can be able to significantly contribute to addressing the barriers that girls face in the main school. So with the government, we call on the government, this is the period for you to tell us that you will really prioritize girls' education, because we'll be hearing it all around in speeches. But the budget period is where you can be able to tell us that you truly committed to what you say. So we need this commitment to be translated into action. How? The budget. We want to see this 5% allocated in the budget for girls' education specifically. This is not the time for excuse. You can tell us the time already passed. This is the period that we are in for you to do that allocation. So this is a responsibility of the government to make sure that they adequately fund girls' education.
Okay. Yeah, let's hear from you.
Yeah, so the Khalifa rightly said, the communities, beginning with the communities, we actually should prioritize equal opportunity for both girls and boys while going to school. In fact, I would say we should give the girls more, because she needs more. Because on top of school materials and school fees and all of that, the girl will also need sanitary pad, and she will need a guiding counselor against teenage pregnancy, because boys don't get pregnant, but girls get pregnant. So you will need more for the girls when it comes to the community. And one of the key portion of the National Policy on Girls' Education that point out to the traditional system. It says that there should be a scheduling of the bush school to the school system, because we observe that when you go to the rural communities, during the time the girls will be in school, at that time the bush school will open, and then they will take all the girls to the bush school, and then you will find out that before the girls leave from the school have already gone very far, and most of them drop out of school. So there should be, the bush school should operate in a way that it will not affect, it will not interfere with the normal school system. Okay. Then also on the national level, the priorities of girls' education, it can be overemphasized more. The girls really need support. And most of those support that go to the school, even though it benefits all the support that go to the girls, it benefits both boys and girls. If you talk about good wash facility, it's not only the girls that are going to use it. It will benefit the boys as well. But it will benefit the girls more because the boy is easily able to pass beyond the hall and pee and go on by her business. But the girl, she's going to be bullied while doing that, especially if she's seeing her menstrual cycle. Then she's going to leave the school. So this is what we are talking about. The government have had the gender mainstreaming budget, but then they have the division within the Ministry of Finance. We are calling on the government to really look to this division and get more advice. All the ministries that are connected to education, they should be able to mainstream gender budgeting in their budget, so that it will go down to affect our girls, so that their lives will be improved. Then they will go to school and be happy, and I will not have this increased dropout and teenage pregnancy rate in our schools.
Okay, and before we come to the only female, I just want to pass out this information quick, because it's been circulating on social media. So it's now confirmed, unlike reports, that the former vice president of the Republic of Liberia has been arrested in connection to the recent drug bust. Well, she has been indicted as a person of interest, and as we speak currently, she's at the headquarters of the Liberia National Police to, answer some questions, to be interrogated about, maybe her connection. But she's now been arrested, as has been, circulating social media and other media platforms. Let's hear from you finally about, the shared responsibilities of all of us, community members, civil society, organizations, parents, and all of that. What can we all do to support a girl's education?
Okay, so thank you. So girls' education is everybody's business. Like Qualified Goman just talked about, the bush school and the conventional school is one of the things that the parent need to take into consideration. We've been having meetings with stakeholders on that issues, making sure that when the school open, that the girls would not be taken from school and be sent to the bush school. So we are encouraging parents, whether in Macerado or the Macerado, in the 15 counties, we are calling on parents to make sure that the girls' children go to school. Do not stop the children from going to school because you want them to go to the traditional school. There should be a time for the traditional school. We had our meeting with the local government, encouraging them to also encourage the parents in the community, in the various counties, to not
Isaiah is there as well.
These girls
for protective details.
So
Joshua Howard Taylor now enters the headquarters of the Liberia National Police to face investigators. So there she is, climbing the stairs, and she has now entered the headquarters of the Liberia National Police, the heavily guarded headquarters of the Liberia National Police. There she is, the former vice president is wearing maroon. She's flanked by Kabina Janet, former associate justice of the Supreme Court of Liberia, the former vice president is being ushered in. Israel Akinsanya is there as well. For protective details,
very important.
Joa Howard Taylor now enters the headquarters of the Liberian National Police to face investigators. So there she is, climbing the stairs.
Finally, just before we leave,
she has now entered the headquarters of the Liberian National Police.
Just
the heavily guarded
apart from
headquarters of the Liberian National Police.
Using all the
There she
media
is, the former vice president is wearing maroon. She's flanked by Kabina Janet, former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of Liberia.
Girls' education.
The former vice president is being ushered in. Israel Akinsanya is there as well. For protective details, Joa Howard Taylor now enters the headquarters of the Liberian National Police to face investigators.
Have you been able to
so there she is, climbing the stairs.
What they say, and
she has now
secondly,
the headquarters of the Liberian National Police.
I mean, it's been a partisan sense, but
headquarters of the Liberian National Police.
Now
there she is, the former vice president is wearing maroon. She's flanked by Kabina Janet, former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of Liberia. The former vice president is being ushered in. Israel Akinsanya is there as well.
Some of these
for protective details.
But now the government is saying
Joa Howard Taylor
no fees
now enters the headquarters of the Liberian National Police to face investigators. So there she is, climbing the stairs. And she has now entered the headquarters of the Liberian National Police.
The issue about engaging stakeholders, we have engaged
of the Liberian National Police.
The stakeholders.
The former vice president is wearing maroon. She's flanked by Kabina Janet, former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of Liberia. The former vice president is being ushered in. Israel Akinsanya is there as well. For protective details, Joa Howard Taylor now enters the headquarters of the Liberian National Police to face investigators. So there she is, climbing the stairs.
Ministry of Gender and Ministry of Finance.
She has now entered the headquarters of the Liberian National Police.
The community people, the women, the youth,
headquarters of the Liberian National Police. There she is, the former vice president is wearing maroon. She's flanked by Kabina Janet, former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of Liberia. The former vice president is being ushered in. Israel Akinsanya is there as well. For protective details, Joa Howard Taylor now enters the headquarters of the Liberian National Police to face investigators. So there she is, climbing the stairs. And she has now entered the headquarters of the Liberian National Police. The heavily guarded headquarters of the Liberian National Police. She is, the former vice president is wearing maroon. She's flanked by Kabina Janet, former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of Liberia.
So
the former vice president is being ushered in. Israel Akinsanya is there as well.
In regards to
protective details,
even the recent time,
Joa Howard Taylor now enters the headquarters of the Liberian National Police to face investigators.
So that was where the 2025 annual school census report was presented. So during that report, there were gaps that we identified, and then we also recommended to the ministry that the ministry should not just look at, focus more on
vice president is wearing maroon.
Net enrollment.
She's flanked by Kabina Janet, former Associate Justice of the
and not just
Supreme
looking
Court
at
of
the
Liberia.
challenges that
The former vice president is being ushered in. Israel Akinsanya is there as well.
Barriers
for protective details,
Joa
Howard Taylor now enters the headquarters of the Liberian National Police to face investigators. So there she is, climbing the stairs. And she has now entered the headquarters of the Liberian National Police.
From community to the
headquarters of the Liberian National Police. There she is, the former vice president is wearing maroon. She's flanked by Kabina Janet, former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of Liberia.
Relevant authorities.
The former vice president is being ushered in. Israel Akinsanya is there as well.
Yes.
For protective details.
Your advocacy.
Joa Howard Taylor now enters the headquarters of the Liberian National Police to face investigators.
The World Bank
so there she is climbing the stairs.
So to the Liberian government to be able to make sure that this particular
the headquarters of the Liberian National Police,
education
the heavily guarded headquarters of the Liberian National Police. There she is, the former Vice President is wearing maroon. She's flanked by Kabina Janet, former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of Liberia.
Contributed to
the
this
former Vice President is being
and I
ushered
think
in.
it's a good
Israel
step with the
Akinsanya is there as well.
Education,
her protective
because the minister
details.
is a female and she's
Joa Howard Taylor now enters the headquarters
and
of the
I see
Liberian
that
National Police
to
face investigators.
The tuition,
So there she is climbing the stairs,
but then we still need more needs to be done around.
She has now
the
entered
because
the headquarters of the Liberian National Police.
If we cannot
The heavily guarded headquarters of the Liberian National Police. There she is, the former Vice President is wearing maroon. She's flanked by Kabina Janet, former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of Liberia.
So I think
the former Vice President is being ushered in. Israel Akinsanya is there as well. Her protective details.
Thank you very much. Finally,
Joa Howard Taylor now enters the headquarters of the Liberian National Police to face investigators. So there she is climbing the stairs, and she has now entered the headquarters of the Liberian National Police, the heavily guarded headquarters of the Liberian National Police. There she is, the former Vice President is wearing maroon. She's flanked by Kabina Janet, former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of Liberia.
The stakeholders,
the former Vice President is being ushered in. Israel Akinsanya is there as well. Her protective details.
And
Joa Howard Taylor now enters the headquarters of the Liberian National Police to face investigators. So there she is climbing the stairs, and she has now entered the headquarters of the Liberian National Police.
We had a public discourse,
the heavily guarded headquarters of the Liberian National Police. There she is, the former Vice President is wearing maroon. She's flanked by Kabina Janet, former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of Liberia.
On the panel discussion,
the former Vice President is being ushered in. Israel Akinsanya is there as well.
All of these
her
issues.
Protective details.
So we've been engaging
Joa Howard
them.
Taylor
We've been talking
now
with them.
enters the
and we are now
headquarters
seeing
of the
at
Liberian
least
National Police to face investigators. So there she is climbing the stairs,
So we are so glad
and she has now entered the headquarters of the Liberian National Police. The heavily guarded
thank you very
headquarters
much
of the Liberian National Police.
We can go to the
Yes,
lines
the former
anymore
Vice
because
President
we
is
are
wearing
way,
maroon. She's flanked by
beyond
Kabina
time.
Janet,
But thank you
former
for being
Associate
here.
Justice of the Supreme Court of
wrapping
Liberia.
up, you just
The former Vice
want
President
to tell us
is
the
being
name
ushered
again
in.
and
Israel
the
Akinsanya
institution.
is there as well. Her
Well,
protective
I'm
details.
Kaifala Kroma. I'm the national
Joa Howard
coordinator
Taylor
for restoring our
now
children's
enters
home
the headquarters
and the member
of the Liberian
the
National
Educator
Police
Coalition.
to face investigators.
I am Khalifa
So there she is
Lucene
climbing the stairs.
I'm the executive director of the Center for
She has now
Dignity and
entered
Inclusion,
the headquarters of the
member
Liberian
the
National
Educator
Police.
Coalition.
The heavily
So
guarded
my name is Rachel
headquarters
Cole,
of the
and
Liberian
I
National
work with the
Police.
Paramount Young Women
There she is,
Initiative,
the former
and
Vice
I'm a
President is
member
wearing maroon. She's flanked
of
by
the
Kabina
Educator
Janet,
Coalition.
former Associate Justice
Okay, thank
of
you very
the
much.
Supreme
It's
Court of
been a
Liberia.
wonderful time having you guys.
The former
here
Vice
in
President
studio.
is being
Hope to have you
ushered
another
in.
time.
Israel Akinsanya is there as well. Her protective details.
Okay, so folks,
Joa Howard Taylor
that's it. It's
now
30
enters
minutes
the
on the flip
headquarters
side
of the Liberian
10
National
o'clock. We've been having
Police
conversations
to face
with members of the
investigators.
Educator,
So
coalition,
there she is climbing the
talking
stairs,
about their advocacies as it
and
relates
she
to
has now entered
allotting
headquarters of the
5%
Liberian
of national
National Police.
budget to
The
fund
heavily
girls'
guarded
education
headquarters
across
of the Liberian
country.
National Police.
So for those
There
of you
she
who,
is, the former
who've been
Vice
asking
President is
for
wearing maroon.
updates as it
She's
relates
flanked by Kabina Janet,
to
former Associate Justice
reports
of the
circulating
Supreme
social
Court of
media
Liberia.
about
The former Vice President is being ushered in. Israel Akinsanya is there as well.
the former Vice President of the
protective
Republic
details.
of Liberia.
Joa
Well,
Howard Taylor
that information
now
about
enters the
her
headquarters
arrest is,
of the
is
Liberian
not
National
true
Police
as far as we've
to
confirmed.
face
What we do
investigators.
know is that
So
she's been
there she is
indicted
climbing the
by the
stairs,
Liberian National Police, and she's currently at the
and
headquarters of the
she
Liberian
has
National
now
Police.
entered the headquarters of the Liberian
answer-
National Police.
I mean, she's been invited
The
as a
heavily
person of
guarded
interest in the
headquarters of the
ongoing
Liberian National Police.
drug case. So she
There
is a
she is,
person
the
of
former
interest.
Vice
She's now
President
been
is wearing
arrested.
maroon.
She
She's
was
flanked
just
by
taken
Kabina
there for
Janet,
interrogation.
former Associate
And
Justice of
after the
the
interrogation,
Supreme
the
Court of
police will
Liberia.
determine what next
The
to
former
do.
Vice
It's
President
been a
is
wonderful
ushered in.
presentation
Israel
here
Akinsanya
this
is there
morning
as well.
on this
For
edition of the
protective
show. My name is
details,
Yekezi Zobel,
Joa Howard
bidding you a
Taylor
pleasant goodbye from
now
Odious
enters the
Congo Town
headquarters
in
of the
Monrovia,
Liberian
Liberia.
National Police to face investigators. So there she is climbing the stairs, and